Hi, my name is Dr. Judith Wilcox. In my career, I've done a lot of work with spiritual awakening, a lot of research. I did my doctoral research on spiritual awakening and human development and the impact of that awakening on our lives. And in my early years of being a transpersonal therapist, I did a lot of consulting for people who had been misdiagnosed by mental health professionals. And they were given diagnostic labels that absolutely did not fit them because they were having things like precognitive experiences and visions and seeing lights and just a whole bunch of different things, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And they were not mentally ill at all. They were just going through a spontaneous awakening of the inner spiritual energy. So, people ask me questions about that all the time. And I thought it would be a great thing to explain some of this right here, right now, for members who have joined in the website and have an interest in spirituality and spiritual awakening. So spiritual awakening is an actual inner experience of the movement of a very tangible, powerful inner energy known as Kundalini in the Eastern traditions of yoga, Holy Spirit in the Christian tradition, and Num by the African tribal people who dance to awaken it. Across traditions, many names have been given to this energy, but it's the same energy. Knowledge of this energy exists not only in Eastern spiritual paths, but in the paths of indigenous peoples, our Native American, many of our Native American tribal people who follow their traditions are aware of this kind of awakening, and particularly the medicine people of those communities. There is knowledge of the energy across spiritual traditions, but not all of them speak openly or directly about the experience because it's a sacred experience. And in many traditions, only a few are given the experience of that inner awakening. Many people think that spiritual awakening is simply an interest in those things spiritual. It's not actually just an interest in things spiritual, like meditation and yoga and prayer, and studying of ancient texts of the various paths that exist that offer solid teachings about developing spiritual knowledge. It is the actual ignition of the inner spiritual energy that exists within all of us. That energy is sitting there waiting, just waiting, to be awakened and to bring us into the pure awareness of our oneness with universal consciousness. That's its purpose. That awakening can happen either spontaneously through deep inner devotion to the divine and intense spiritual practice, or through the intention, look, touch, or words of a great master who has attained the constant state of oneness with the divine and has been given the power to awaken that inner energy, that inner spiritual energy. The best and safest way for this awakening to take place is through the grace and guidance of such a master who has walked the path from limited awareness to totally expanded awareness. Sometimes Spontaneous awakenings also happen when people are using drugs, are doing a kind of seeking that can be harmful, or who are doing yoga and trying to push the awakening into happening by doing a variety of postures and breathing exercises. But unless there is somebody who can guide the inner experience of that awakening, people will often find themselves in trouble and have no clue, literally, as to what to do to contain the energy and turn that experience into the most positive thing that could possibly happen in their lives. So what are some of the signs of this awakening happening? Feeling energy, heat, or tingling rising up through the spinal column is a classic experience. And I must tell you, I could not possibly list all of the experiences that people have when they go through spiritual awakening, but what I'm going to tell you are some of the more classic ones. Sometimes people will experience this on a very emotional level, where there's a welling up of bliss and stillness and love and the awareness of oneness with universal consciousness that just lifts them out of their limited awareness and their sense of smallness. One can also have visions of light, of saints and great beings, or spontaneous classic breathing patterns called pranayama in the yogic tradition. Sometimes even spontaneous movements of the body into yogic postures where you're not really doing it, it's doing it by itself. And it's the energy pushing you into an asana that will help you with something that's going on in your body and your mind. Also, spontaneous hand movements, mudras with the fingers while in meditation can occur. Visions of the past coming flashing into your awareness, both in this life and of other lifetimes. And then visions of the future can also come up during this awakening and unfolding of this energy. One can also have spontaneous recognition and inner experiences of the truths of ancient teachings of all paths. You know, things that maybe you've read about and puzzled about all of a sudden become a real experience. And you recognize that. You can also find your mind and your heart flooding with thoughts and emotions that move rapidly, almost like on fast forward, and then are gone. It's very intense, but then it's over. And those of us who are therapists or who have been through therapeutic processes, you know sort of what that's like, because if you're doing any particular technique that is going to push up the feelings and the thoughts about an event in your life and accelerate your processing of those events, you know what that looks like. You know what the flashing of past experience and the emotions that go on with it can be like. Well, this happens without any provocation other than the awakening of that inner energy. I used to like to call that energy the inner therapist, because I saw so many people going through that experience, and I saw the transformation that was taking place spontaneously. In fact, that was what triggered me to do more research on that experience and do a whole doctoral dissertation on it, because I saw this miraculous transformation going on before my very eyes, both in myself and a bunch of people around me. You can also have the spontaneous experience of sacred mantras arising from within. And these may be sounds that you've never heard before. And all of a sudden, They're just flying up into your awareness. It's like they're vibrating from deep within you. You can also experience rapid personal growth and transformation, both inwardly and outwardly, in terms of life change. Because one of the things that's said about this awakening is that it really literally fast forwards your karma and your destiny, so that you're going through in a very short time what might have taken you years to go through. And it's intense. These are only a few signs that you're going through the awakening of the inner spiritual energy. There are books about, literally ancient books that give lists and lists and lists of pretty amazing experiences that one can have when this energy is awakened. So, if you are experiencing any of these things and are needing help in getting through them, you may want to consider taking the Meditation for Daily Living series of the Basic Meditation course and the 3 Advanced Meditation for Daily Living mini retreats. Or you may want to schedule a personal coaching session to help you better understand your experience and how to move through it and grow with it, rather than have it be a frightening experience for you. Because truly, that inner spiritual energy has no other goal other than to create a happy life for you on the highest level possible, and to bring you into the highest awareness of what it's like to be truly human. So, please take advantage of the offerings here on the website, and if you don't see something that you want and need, just contact me and ask, and we might be able to create it for you, either individually or in the form of a course, or even a Facebook Live experience. All of these things are possible, and your membership is here to support you in understanding and navigating through your daily experiences of life and your goals, and also your spiritual development.